So now you've got your big idea, all right? Out of this big idea, you've now distilled it down, and now you've started to write the script out, and now, and also I think just in terms of a revision process, I'm sure this happening in your script, it's obviously going to go back to your big idea. You're going to be going backwards and forwards between working out exactly what you're saying and how best you're trying to say it. One of the most important things in terms of any treatment is they're going to go, what is it going to look like? So this comes down to knowing your equipment, knowing where you're finishing it, knowing how you're finishing it. What is it going to sound like? The more information that you give, again, the better for you, all right? The more clear it's going to be. I want to use Backstreet Boys. You've heard Backstreet Boys in there. Like maybe the singers are not the best or right on money for what it is, but that's what I imagine it's going to sound like and look like, okay? Don't allow for debate. Make sure that you've covered all the questions in the person who's reading its mind. If you're using a particular soundtrack, it's good that you've given an example of it. Make a CD. Say, this is the kind of track that we're thinking of. This is the underscoring that we're going to be using.
If I wanted to use the Backstreet Boys music in my show, but I know I don't have the budget to pay for that music, to license it, I make something that sounds like it, but is just different enough that I won't get charged to like...
You won't get sued for copyright.
And I actually know somebody who was sued R250,000 for using a song that he didn't have rights to, even though they'd re-recorded with other artists. It wasn't different enough. They got sued R250,000. So it's important to make sure of those little details.
Because for me, a big starting point in terms of the look and feel was Moulin Rouge, okay? Which I think actually is the thing that front cover is missing, most of all. There's not a sense of like over-the-top kind of comedy and stuff that it doesn't have. So there again, there's a reference that I'm trying to pull in and I actually haven't used it correctly, okay? Don't make the same mistakes. All right. People trust that you, A, know what you're talking about, and they want to trust that you've got people on board who know what they're doing. So when you put down key personnel, what I would do here, for example, is we would list exactly who's done it, what we've done, where they're coming from, and why they're the people that you want to be using, okay? It's an important part in terms of any kind of treatment that you're doing. I mean, the thing that's going to decide this as well, you know, who's going to win this competition in terms of who's actually going to get it, are the people who are going to go, obviously, the extra mile, you know? It's not the person who's going, oh, I kind of go, you know, it's sort of, it's the person who's gone the distance, okay? The person who knows what their music sounds like, who's researched their costumes and their budget, and the wardrobe budget that they've got. I don't know if you have a wardrobe budget, but within the limits of what you've got, the person who's going to go the distance is the person who's going to win this, okay? And the person who's going to get that is the person who, once again, there's no debate. It's absolute clarity when you actually show it to the panel. A production schedule is a very important part of something. So a budget, in any like big thing, you would say this is the budget, this is how much money we've got. And in terms of a pitch, this is where most people start. Okay, they most actually they open and they go, oh my God, you know, really? What we do then in terms of following that is, all right, I mean, because now what you'll say, there's a 50-page thing that I've taken out in terms of breaking that budget apart as to why it costs, what it costs, where the line items go. Now, you don't have to do it for this one, but you're going to have to do it, okay? When you pitch a production, you're going to have to say, every single line item. I can assure you, I had the process on Friday. We pitched for a big corporate, not this kind of money, but big money. Line by line, okay, they take you through it. Why is this 1,500? Can you do this for less than 4,000 Rand? Can we offer this instead? Can we use our car systems? Can we use our infrastructure? If you don't know the answer, you'll lose the entire job on a 4,000 Rand question, okay? If you don't know the answer, don't put it in there. Like, know your stuff, or otherwise don't even go near it. And that's a big one with budget. And I can assure you, or corporates, if you're pitching, forget even broadcasters, because broadcasters often not their own money, and they're like, oh yeah, they look at a per minute rate. But corporates will watch you on every single line item that you do, and they will test you on every single line item that you do. Because they often have better deals or whatever, and you've got to go, do I want to do that? Can I do this? Can I use their printing? Do I want to use our printing? Et cetera, et cetera. A production schedule is a very important part, and you're going to have to do this even on your 3-minuters. Production schedules shows whether you actually know what you're doing as a filmmaker. This is where people come apart. Because all of you probably, the fact that you're even sitting here means that you've got a good idea, and you're probably quite passionate about it. If you can't do this side of it, and you probably are acting as director producers as your role now, you're probably going to have to be the champions behind these productions. This is where things go horribly, horribly wrong. You have got to have ascertained they're going to give you X equipment, X budget, X people, and X amount of whatever it is. So I think you've got 4 people, you've got 3 minutes, you've probably got 2 days to shoot or 1 day to shoot, whatever it is. If they can see that you do not understand how that production will work, you aren't going to get it, okay? If you say to Kirsty, well, you know, we've got this shot of the Titanic coming in or whatever, like, really? From where? Okay, because how would you do that? How would you, so anything that you, any shot or any piece of any archive footage, any performer, anything that you've got in there, all boils down to how, with those means, am I going to make it? And this is a breakdown to show that you do know what you're talking about. This is generally to show these are the days that we're shooting, and this would be normally taken apart in terms of a day by day, hour by hour. I mean, in terms of the schedules that you do, it literally is, you do an hour by hour, you know, day by day plotting when you actually do the big shoot itself. Because you have to know who's fetching who at what time, how they're doing, etc. And you've got to show that you've thought through this. Yes, there will be changes, okay? And by no means is that going to be a final set thing in stone. When you're doing it, you're going to... But I can also assure you, the only people who survive on a shoot when things go wrong, and they always go wrong, and they go wrong in a very big way, are the people who can make a plan based on what's actually in front of them, because they know that within this range, we can cancel that, move that scene in here, pull that person in, shoot that quickly, and push them to the next day. If you haven't done this, you won't know what's going on, and you'll miss the boat. It'll screw up. Okay. So production schedule is a biggie. Generally in a room, when someone comes into someone comes into pitch or something, often there's like 4 or 5 other people, and there's generally one person who really knows what they're talking about, okay? And that's the champion of the production. You are, in this instance, it's clear, obviously the champion of your own production, okay? Which means that any question is going to go through you, all right? Whether it be wardrobe, costume, production schedule, where you're editing, play, whatever it is. So, start with the basics, okay? Start with, I've got a big idea, and I think that's, you've got stories. Start with that, all right? List down what you have available to you and how you're going to make that work within that time frame, within that edit time, within that look and feel. So when you've done this, because this before you've even handed this in, you have got to have tested this. If you've said in your pitch, right, I've got this big idea, it's rehab, it's a singing, musical, whatever, and then we're going to shoot this in X amount of days, you know, 3 weeks or whatever. If you don't have it in your budget, if you know you've only, or in your time frame, if you've only got 2 days, you know you've got to change the idea, okay? There's no point in trying to get around it or say, you've got to get something, you have got to have created something that fits within the parameters of what you can actually make, all right? Anything else, you're wasting your own time, and you're wasting the panel's time, and that is where it gets chucked out. People are going to be able to see, all right, they do know what they're doing or they don't know what they're doing. So you start with your big idea. You write down all the things that you have available to you. If you're allowed 4 characters, are you going to use all 4? Are you going to use just 3? If you're using 3, how, you know, where are they coming from? Who are they? When you put your treatment together, you have got to have ticked off every single box to make sure. That's my big idea. Am I clear? Is there room for debate? Okay? Have I given a byline that absolutely explains it? Does Rehab the musical, do you get what it is? Okay? Once you've then started to develop in terms of the story outline, you've started to write that down. Does this fit within the parameters of what I have available to me in terms of shooting, in terms of editing, in terms of finishing it on time? Okay? In terms of a look and feel, when you at your pitch, people are impressed by how you interpret something and you put it together in such a way. So, while this might be, you know, like as we've discussed, there's certain elements of it are wrong, put your pitch and your treatment in a way. If you're doing something that's like 7, you know, think about doing your pitch in a box with a head in it or whatever. You know, think about thinking outside the box. Because one of the biggest things is, as much as I need to trust you with that you understand the audience you're making for, I also need to make sure that you're going to catch the audience that you're pitching at, okay? They're the people who are signing off for you, right? They're the people who are going, oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. So the biggest thing is to immerse them in the world that you're trying to engage with. So if you know that who your audience is, in this case, one of them is Kirsty and there's another panel, how are you going to grip them? How are you going to say, this story of mine, wow, it's bigger, it'll move across movies, it's bigger, it needs a box, it needs a telephone, I don't know. And it's got to be driven by your story as well. Because once again, if you go off theme here, you're going to get it really wrong. But what you do is when you do something that's outside, I mean, if any person, any star that's made it from Charlize to Jean-Claude Van Damme, any treatment or whatever that's actually been made and signed off has genuinely struck a chord with someone and they've gone, oh yeah, I so get it, I see it, I know how this is going to live. And they want to see that you know that you've brought your piece, your production alive in some way, that when the time they get to it, they go, oh, there's no debate, I can see it clearly. So in terms of the production schedule, no, if you're making a 3 minutes, it's for you to say, this is how we would break it down. And one of the biggest things about a production schedule is you should have, in your production schedule, literally, you've got 2 days. By hour, you should know where you are. Okay? If I've got a location list of, I mean, one of the first things that I would look at in terms of when I get a treatment is if I get someone who gives, I've got 10 locations and it's in a day, I know they have no idea what they're doing. How? Who's doing the movement schedule? What cars? How are you going to do that? It's not possible. So when you go, oh, right, they've got 2 locations and one's in a house and they've put aside an hour for people need to eat. Generally, okay, often we don't in terms of we push them beyond and we go late at night. But a schedule is going to show you that you know exactly how long it takes to move people, dress the actors, get them ready, shoot it, get it wrong, shoot it again, adjust for lighting, etc., and you've budgeted all that in. I mean, one of the biggest things, you guys are shooting live sound, hey? Okay. One of the biggest things is sound, okay? If you've recce'd your locations, if you know what you're doing, one of the things you'll know is how bad your sound is. Anyone who's doing live sound, I can tell if you're near, have you gone there? Is there near an airport? You've got to have adjusted and go, I've got 20 extra minutes, oh, I'm doing Foley sound. I don't know if there is a thing for Foley sound, but you need to have thought through that, okay? There's no point in going, I only need 20 minutes because the guys have got to say it right. Your location might not allow for it. Your location might be in Kempton Park and you need to get back here and you've got 45 minutes and you haven't budgeted for it. Something goes horribly wrong. You've got to have done your character. You've got to have got I would like to have seen your locations. I would like to have seen your characters and I'd like to have seen them, what they're going to be looking like. And I don't want to see little pictures like this. If I can't see what you're talking about, if you've given little things, that's no good. I would definitely look, first of all, to your production schedules. You don't have budgets, but production schedules, and then how you're going to run the production. Then I would be looking at I'd go back to the beginning and see where's their concept and how they've written it out. Because only once I've covered those points, for me as a treatment, would I go, you know what you're doing, and there's the work that's done here has been done, so the idea can actually hold itself. So 5, 6. But I think the person who's going to win it will be more, because they'll show that they've done the work. Yeah.